Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Jason.
Good evening.
And good evening.
Ken Decost, everybody.
Heyo.
Good evening, guys. How are you?
Yeah, I would just like to make a public announcement, everybody. We do have a special guest who specializes in, construction grade pine farmhouse tables, correct?
Exactly. Nailed it.
He's built an empire on pocket hole screws and pine.
Yeah. The
Wow.
occasional
You know me. You guys know me way too well.
epoxy river
but
table.
When I put those pocket screws in, I use only impact drivers.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. The
Makes sense.
king
Yeah.
Does
of
it-
pressure
yeah.
treat.
This
Does it
isn't
faster.
this isn't
Yeah,
amateur hour, okay?
Yeah.
No.
No chumps here. Well, so everybody, we do have a guest tonight, obviously, and we will talk about that in just a minute. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the giveaway sponsor, which again is Bessie Tools North America. So huge thank you to Bessie as always. And this month they are giving away a set of the Bessie Revo Junior parallel clamps, which is a good score for anybody who can win. Now, to enter, US and Canada, sorry Alaska and sorry Hawaii, you are banned from this giveaway. Not our decision. But to enter, all you have to do is go over to greensuiterspodcast.com and fill out the entry form, and you will be entered for your chance to win said clamps. Ben, did I miss anything?
You did not. You did great. Good job.
Wow.
Thank you. Why did you
Amazing.
look at it? You were looking off to the side. It actually looked like to me you were looking at me, like in the box next. No, other way. There you go. Yep, that's perfect.
Ooh, that's a good thumbnail.
Yeah, it's a good thumbnail. Yeah. All right, so let's get into it. We have a guest tonight, Ken Decost, who this is kind of confusing, right? So Ken Decost of previously of NS Builders, now Materia Millwork. Did I pronounce that right?
You did, yeah.
And everybody, the creator of the Hive notebook, which I have mine handy right here to jot down notes in case I remember something that I want to ask you. But I'm not going to keep blabbing because he knows himself better than I do. So Ken, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about you?
Sure. So, you kind of hit the nail on the head there, formerly from NS Builders. Earlier this year, we actually took the cabinet shop and split it off. So for those that don't know, NS Builders is a general contractor. So they build, homes from the ground up and also do large scale renovations. So I ran the cabinet shop for that company for like 5 years. And then this year we split the shop off into its own business for a number of different reasons. And we started Materia. So I was brought in as a partner for that company. And, we've been in business for 3 months now, and we are already booked out until next spring. So we are hitting the ground running. And, the inquiries are coming in daily, which is great, really good for us. And, hopefully we can keep this momentum going. So yeah, super excited about the new venture here.
And so now that is in partnership with Nick Schiffer, right?
Yep. Yeah. Nick and I both co-own that company.
So, I mean, that's really what that was kind of my question. What was going to be one of the questions that I asked, but I'm really interested in, because I know that you came in and took over the cabinet shop. I loved your post that you did on Instagram, and you just left everybody hanging. And I was so confused. Said, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And it was like,
what's going on?
Yeah. And then there was nothing. There was just crickets.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I was so confused because
there was
like, and that's why I'm leaving.
Yeah. There was supposed to be a part 2 followed up with that after a few days, but we never even ended up recording it. So it just kind of stayed at what it was.
A little premature there.
Yeah, that's all right. We just wanted to stir the pot a little bit, have some fun with it. And
you stirred it.
It worked. It was a good time. Yeah, for sure. But then ultimately it kind of didn't go too far, right? Since just about everything kind of stays the same. We're just switching a few things. It's still the same shop. It's still the same team. It's still me and Nick. So not a lot has changed in that sense. We're just opening up to a lot more opportunities now.
Now you went on a trip right after that post. Where were you? You were in Spain or
Portugal. Yeah.
Portugal. So
Yep.
I saw that, and so all I was thinking about the entire time was like, he's like moving and starting like a cabinetry business or something in Spain, because I'm like, he just did that. I'm leaving NS Builders. Now he's, in Portugal. What is going on? And then again, crickets, heard nothing. And then I saw the announcement for Material Millwork, and I was like, oh, okay, now it makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah, tempt me with a good time. I'll go over there and start a shop. Sure.
Yeah,
Why not?
for sure.
It's beautiful over there.
So you didn't have to move anything. You're just still in the same shop.
He just did a 360. He just turned around real quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But the tricky thing here is, though, we've been looking for a larger shop for quite some time now. Right now we're at about 2,400 square feet, which, to you guys, maybe working out of the garage sounds like a lot, right? But
It isn't.
when you're in our line, it's and you guys have seen the videos. We're packed full floor to ceiling.
Oh yeah.
In that shop. So we are actively looking for a space. We've been looking for a bigger space. They're just few and far between, out here in the Boston area, as you can imagine. And then the stuff that is available gets super expensive, super quick.
Yeah.
So, and of course, there's a particular area that we're looking to be in, which, everybody's trying to be in that area because it bridges the kind of Metro West suburbs with the city. So it's very sought after, a lot of lab spaces going there, colleges. So we have some pretty stiff competition, and it hasn't been easy. So we're still on the hunt.
Yeah, man. Too cool. I'm going to be up in that area in about 2 weeks. Should be
I think
pretty
you all
cool.
are, right? You all are going to JLC?
Yep.
Yeah.
JLC. Yep, for sure.
Nice.
So
For sure.
I'm
what? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
good. I just, staying on the JLC. I don't know if I'm going to be there. I know I told you that I probably will, but I might be out of town that week.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
man. It's always good seeing you when we're there.
Yeah. I just saw you there not too long ago, right? I mean, JLC was in the fall? They just
August,
had one.
yeah. It was
Yeah.
weird doing it in August, not March.
It was,
You know?
yeah, and it was small. It was
Yep.
an interesting one. Kind of, a feeler. They were testing the waters for sure.
Uh-huh.
So I'm hoping I get to go to this one. With the new company, we've expanded a little bit, and we're able to reach out into different suburbs, different cities. So we have a project that we've been fabricating that's going out to New York City, and the install is either going to be that week or the following week. We're still kind of on the fence as to which week it's going to be. So I'm hoping it's going to be the latter, so that I can make it over to JLC this year.
Cool.
So now Materia Millwork. Now, first of all, NS Builders, when you guys were doing the cabinet shop organic to NS Builders, proper, right? You guys weren't just doing cabinetry, although I know is that pretty much the majority of your work is the cabinetry?
Yeah,
side?
I would say that was, especially for NS Builders, it was pretty much all the cabinetry. I mean, we would fabricate things like, doors, like entry doors, or, things of that nature, but the vast majority of it was just cabinetry.
But then I saw that new post that you guys did. I think it's going to Arizona or California.
Yeah, Arizona. Well, she lives in
That thing
California.
is
Second home
amazing.
is in Arizona. Yeah, so it arrived there. They have it. They installed it. Looks awesome. She's very excited. But yeah, that's another whole line of this business that we're looking to expand upon. One of our guys he went to school for furniture making as well as design. So he's really passionate about making those type of pieces. So we're really hoping that we can expand upon, this line and have some more offerings here in the future for, pieces like that, whether it's completely custom or we have a line of different, furniture available for people to just, let's say, go on the website and buy. Probably made to order. We don't have a lot of space to store stuff. And as you guys know, everybody wants something different. Hey, I like that bed, but can you make it in this type of wood, or can you make it this size? So I think made to order is probably going to be the way to go for some of that stuff.
Right.
But too, like with having that kind of approach to it, now we can bring on, somebody who might be a little bit greener and, teach them how to make these repetitive things and just have them crank away at that kind of stuff, which is, something we're struggling with right now is getting help. I mean, we're looking for help. We're trying to get, and this is, across the board. I know everybody I talk to is looking to hire good help, and it's hard to find, but there's no shortage of younger people who want to, learn about this stuff. And unfortunately, we just don't have the capacity to take that on. I mean, I would love to, but we can't bring all these people in. We just don't have the manpower to train them or the time to do so. At the moment, hopefully as we're growing this and we are able to take on more and more of those people. So something else we're looking forward to.
Now, is that the ultimate plan? Would be to get a bigger space and bring more people on?
Yeah. I mean, right now I could probably use 2 more guys immediately. And we haven't found them, still looking for them as well. But the more people we fit in that shop, the more material that we're producing, it's already super full. So it's going to be extremely tight, thus the need for a larger shop, and they kind of go hand in hand. But we have a lot of, big plans for the new company. Like I said, we want to grow that furniture side. We want to grow the millwork side. Ultimately we have, we're actually bringing in millwork. So we're making moldings in the shop. And that's another thing where it's like, we can get a young kid, fresh out of school, put him in front of a molder and just have him crank that stuff all day. Being in that shop environment, she's going to learn so much, just being a sponge, sitting there, listening to the jargon, and it's not like they're just going to sit in front of the molder all day. It's going to be, hey, come over here, give me a hand doing, X, Y, and Z. And they're going to learn so much that way. And, we're excited to get to that point, but, just not quite there yet.
Right.
Well, look, whatever you do, don't hire Jason.
Okay?
Yeah.
He would just break everything he touched.
Yeah, it would be a hell of a commute.
I got a quick question.
It comes with a lot of festivals.
Oh, yeah. I'll just take my private jet.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks, Pace.
I got a quick question. When you're saying you're looking to take on a couple more guys, what kind of experience do you look for? What's the process
question.
when you talk to somebody? You're gonna pay somebody some decent coin. What kind of credentials should they have coming in?
Yeah, we're looking for somebody that has probably at least 5 years experience in the shop. We're at a point now where some guys who may have, relevant carpentry experience, but not quite shop experience, they might fit the bill, obviously depending on level. And when we're going through this, we'll take them to the shop, talk to them about the tools. If they understand like how the tools operate and stuff, you kind of get a feel when you're talking to people where their skill level's at. Obviously it's not the end all be all of where their level's at. People can come in there and bullshit you all day, right? And then you get them in the shop and it's just not a good fit, unfortunately. But the actual hiring process is something that we are, always trying to, evolve and refine. There's no, like I have this conversation with a lot of people and there's no great process to really weeding those out, asking certain questions. And it's, unfortunately you kind of have to get guys into the shop, see how they actually work, but that comes with its own set of challenges. Do you bring them on as, an independent contractor where you're paying them on a 1099? And if it doesn't work out in, a couple weeks, then, hey, we part ways, sorry, it didn't work out. But what happens if they left their job to come work for you, right? Like now you let them go and it's just like, it's tough. And, even if you didn't bring them on as an independent contractor, it's not easy. So while yes, we're eager to hire more people, we are also looking for the right person.
That was my follow-up question, because you get somebody in there who doesn't meld with your guys and the group,
right?
A toxic personality can ruin stuff in a shop,
Yep. And it's tricky, and that's the kind of stuff too that you can't necessarily find during an hour or two interview. You really have to get them in and see what their work's like. But this is again why the networking part, and I know you guys talk about this a lot in your show too, especially last episode, right? Networking is so important. And hey, maybe you're not happy over at this shop, come over here. I've been following you for a while, I know your work, I know your attitude, things like that. So it's just been difficult. And, I'd like to think that it was, because we have such a big following and, people would flock to us. It's like, that's just not the case. It's tough everywhere. I talk to guys all over the country and they're having the same issues when it comes to hiring people. So, I mean, it's good for everybody right now. So nobody's looking. And I think a lot of the people that we're looking to hire aren't necessarily doing the social media stuff that we're advertising on, right? Not everybody, does this kind of, spends a couple hours on here. And even if they do, maybe they miss that post, or, it's tough, which is why we also offered a referral bonus too, which, maybe your friend didn't see it, but if you got a friend who you think would be a good fit, send them our way. And if we hire them, you both get a couple bucks.
Yeah.
But it's still it's tough.
Well, I think in your guys' situation, based on something that you just said, I think there's two things that are working against you guys. And the first, going back to what you were talking about, is finding the right person. Is that your guys' standards and attention to detail is uncanny. And I do want to come back to that at some point during this episode, because that's what impresses me the most. But because it's so uncanny, it's going to be hard to find somebody that necessarily matches. Sure, they can work their way into it, but that's also very intimidating for a lot of people looking at it. You know what I mean? Because then they're like, "Oh, I would love to work there, but oh my God, like look at realistically, look how perfect everything looks." That can be intimidating to a lot of people.
But
sure.
I think that's
I totally
also,
get that. Yeah.
I think that's probably, or could be, what would entice the right talent. Like to me, that looks like a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm an expert craftsman, that's not going to scare me, because if I'm a good craftsman, I know my craft. I have the confidence behind my skill.
Sure. I think that's kind of the approach that I have with it. If I were looking for a job, I'm going to want the one that's challenging, right? I don't want to come into work and be bored every day. But again, that's just my perspective and my point of view. And to kind of Jason's point, a lot of people probably do look at it that way. And kind of going back to what I said before, maybe they're looking at it like, that's super intimidating. Maybe I won't last over there, so I don't want to burn the bridge that I currently have. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Now that kind of gives us some good feedback to go back to that drawing board with and figure out how can we kind of put that at ease, for some of these people who may want to come in here.
And then it's like, think about, how this would look on a resume. Like,
right.
If somebody had to move away, but it's like, look who I just, worked 7 years with.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that's, and then when people do see that brand, they're like, oh, wow, this guy, it's a, I don't want to say prestigious, but it's got a good branding, known for quality and precision and stuff like that. And it's only going to make you look better,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, do you guys make charcuterie boards? I could use a job.
I'm looking for a really
you can
good,
come and have a job.
I want a river table for my dining room, and I only want to pay $100 for it. What can you guys do?
Yeah.
Dude, done. We'll pocket screw the hell out of it. You got it.
Yeah.
Do you match prices of IKEA?
Yeah, dude, we beat them.
Oh,
yeah.
Man, I'm all in.
How often do you guys get scoffed at for like price work? Or
I bet you not that often. Before he answers, I bet it's not that often.
Yes and no. There's a good mix of both. I think that Nick's done a pretty good job of curating the social media stuff where people understand the quality and the amount of time and the materials that are going into these projects, where people just right off the bat know that it's expensive. And I think that probably weeds a lot of people out. But that's not to say that those people don't reach out. And we try to narrow this process down, where if someone reaches out, whether it's Instagram or email or anything, we ask them a handful of questions right off the rip, where it's like, hey, what's your budget? What's your timeline? Things like this, before we even look at the project and give them anything else. Timeline's a huge one. Like I said, we're booked out into next year. Not everybody wants to wait that long. So, that right there weeds out a lot of people. And then we'll have people that are like, oh, I want all this work done and my budget's $5,000, for a full kitchen. Like,
Seems
no,
reasonable.
I'm
That seems
sorry,
reasonable.
we can't do that.
Lowe's is right down the road. They've
um,
got prefab. You can buy from there.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I don't even think you get the plywood for that these days.
No.
No, definitely not.
But you know, a lot of the people will just, I mean, and I'm sure you guys get this too, they'll just ghost you. If we do get to the point where we're like, oh no, we're probably in the X range for this, silence, no response. And it's totally fine. Like, I'm not offended.
Yeah, they're not the right customer.
kind of,
Yeah.
right. I kind of figured that was the case.
Yep.
And you kind of get a feel for, you know, what client's going to be the right one when they're kind of walking through, you know, the early stages of a project, especially that first email. And if they tell you that they don't have a budget in mind, then they're probably not your client.
Oh yeah. I don't really know. I don't really know because I have no idea how much something like that costs. That's not my question. How much are you willing to spend on this project? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much something like that would be.
Well,
okay.
Go to Pinterest and get some pictures.
Yeah.
When you know, give us a call.
Yeah, but that's also not an easy conversation to have. And,
No.
you know, not everybody's comfortable having that conversation. So, you know, I get it. You know, hell, it took me a little bit to even warm up to the idea of like asking somebody right off the rip, hey, how much money do you want to spend on this? Money is a sensitive topic, right? And not a lot of people want to talk about it. It's difficult. And then everybody wants the best deal too. So they don't want to tell you that, oh, my budget's 100 grand when they only want to spend, or when you could do that project for 50, right? So it's like, they don't want to feel like they're getting ripped off, or they don't want to overpay for anything. And dude, you know, I totally get it. Like nobody does.
Yeah. Nobody wants to overpay for anything, but they do want to get their money's worth.
Well,
100%.
so that's a common conversation that I've had with people, and we may have talked about it on here when somebody asked for like tips when trying to quote people or whatever. But you know, I for the longest time would not ask that question, because the way I looked at it, it's like, imagine going to a car dealership or going to get your car fixed or anything, right? Where you're making a purchase. And the very first question you get asked is, what's your budget? The immediate mindset in my mind was, well, if I tell you it's $50,000, then you're going to try to sell me something for $50,000. And when I finally got over that and started asking the question, I don't know if I ever had anybody, you know, not answer it, other than the example you gave, which was, you know, well, I don't really know what I want to spend on it because I don't know how much something like that would cost, right? So I actually had a very good experience with it. But what I would always do to kind of put their mind at ease is when they would say, hey, I want a dining room table built. Okay, cool. What's your budget? Well, my budget, I don't really want to spend more than $3,000. Okay, great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to you with different options at different price points, but now I know what I have to work with. And, you know, the most expensive option would be X brand or X type of wood. And then you can get it for a lot cheaper for this brand or this type of wood. And so by doing that, that was always the thing that really helped me, is I think they felt at ease then. And I would tell them that if they got weird about it, I'd say, you know, hey, here's the deal. I'm not asking you because I'm going to sell you a $3,000 table. I want to know how much I have to work with, and I want to present you with different options. I always found that beneficial.
I think it's about saving time too. I think that's the lead in qualifying question is, or one of them is budget, because you don't want to start, you know, asking all these questions and options. You know, do you want pull-out drawers? Do you want this? Do you want that? When I used to say, okay, what kind of, you'd have to, and then all of a sudden they go, well, I didn't think it would be that expensive. And I went, oh no, I just wasted all my time. Right. So I always I used to lead in probably within 3 or 4 questions. I go, hey, what are you looking to spend? Because all of a sudden when you start to hear a little nitpicking, and I had a different market. I was in South Florida. You know, everybody's looking for a deal down there, but you'd find then the referrals would start happening. You get in the right neighborhoods, the right clientele. And after a while, it's like, you knew these referrals from people, you were going in and you were going to get that buck you needed for sure. It's kind of like, I think when I see some of your posts and stuff, I think you guys have been working it just about perfect. So you have the right clientele and the right referral base now. Yeah. Would that be an honest assumption?
Yeah. And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there too. Like I said, Nick's done a really good job of curating that feed and all of our social, really, where people understand the market that we're after. I mean, you look around at some of these houses that we're in, I mean, they're multi-million-dollar homes. Like the cabinetry that's going in there is going to be very expensive. And I think the people who are like, hey, I got $2,000 to spend on something, probably know that we're probably out of their budget. But, to touch on what you said about, narrowing it down to a few questions, that's exactly why, like right off the bat, we'll ask them, a series of questions, usually just in one email, so we're not wasting all that time.
Yeah.
My kind of approach to it is I'll ask them a few questions. If I get the kind of runaround with that, like not the runaround, but like the dodging on the pricing, I don't really know what I want to spend, haven't really thought about it. Then, we'll quickly be like, hey, for, a table like that, we're looking at, $7,000 to $10,000. If this is within your budget and what you're willing to spend, then we can continue the conversation, X, Y, and Z.
Boom.
And that's where usually people won't respond if you're over their budget. And like I said before, totally fine. I get it. We're not for everybody and not every project's for us. And that's totally acceptable. There's going to be somebody out there that can build that table for that price. You just got to do a little bit more digging to find that person. But yeah, I think, like I said, I think Nick's done a pretty good job of curating that audience where we still get some of those, tire kickers, but they're few and far between.
Yeah. Ben, did you have something?
No.
So, well, I thought you started to talk earlier. Maybe you were just.
No.
Did you get your brush out?
Huh?
You got your brush out? Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, I wanted to know, because we started off basically with you with NS Builders, and you were with NS Builders 5 years. Now you're doing Materia. You're working with Nick. Awesome. What did you do before that? How did you end up at NS Builders? How did you get into this?
All right. So I think for me, my story probably starts similarly to a lot of other people that are in this industry. I grew up with my dad being a carpenter. So I was constantly going to work with him, ever since I was a kid. I was 7 years old going to framing job sites with him and picking up scraps. And, I would get paid like $25 a day. But when you're 7 in the early 90s, $25 is a lot of money.
It's a lot of baseball cards.
So yeah, I would be doing that a lot. So of course, as I got older, took on more responsibility, learned, more tools, and, got to do some really high-end stuff with him, when I was very young. When I got into, like high school age, I didn't really want much to do with it. And when it came time to go to college, I almost followed with you guys. I was very on the fence of what to do. So I was, looking at different branches of the military, and I was going to jump into the Army very last minute, and then made the decision to go to school instead, where I ended up withdrawing from school in my sophomore year. So I never even finished, went to something totally unrelated. Through all my years, I never took a shop class, not once, not in high school, nowhere. After I left school, I started, working miscellaneous jobs, worked a lot with my dad doing, various construction and woodworking projects. But it was always just a fallback plan. I didn't want to do it. I fought it hard. And, I think this too is probably, pretty important for, some younger listeners out there, where for me at the time that I was growing up, it seemed like blue collar work was frowned upon. You were never going to make any money. It was dirty. Everybody looked down upon you, things like this. And it was probably for the, I want you to do better, go to college. College was, pushed quite a bit when I was, at that age. I think we're probably kind of turning the tides here, but that's a whole nother subject. So, getting back to it, construction was always a fallback for me. Moved out to Southern California, did construction out there. This was like 2000, late 2000s. So when the economy, crashed, I was doing construction in California. California was hit very hard at that time. Guy I was living with was a good friend of mine from, back here. I'm originally from the East Coast. He was like, you know what, I'm going to move back home. It's like, all right, sure. So I followed along with him, jumped back in doing construction with my father. had a few other miscellaneous jobs working in nonprofits and things, like trying to find something more fulfilling. That was a big issue with why I didn't want to do construction or carpentry. It wasn't fulfilling for me. I felt like I needed to have something a bit more. So from there, I kind of ended up getting a job in a shop, just as a fallback. Didn't plan to stay there for a long time. 12, 15 years later, something like that, here I am. You know,
I'm still here, still in the same shop.
Yeah, different shops. So I've actually only worked in 3 or 4 different shops. You know, I was at each one for 3 to 5 years. Everyone had, you know, kind of taught me something different, right? And it was the one I was at before NS Builders. I actually went through a pretty hard time there where I really fought wanting to do this. I was really looking into other avenues, other careers, you know, wanted like a white collar job. You know, I was tired of doing this. I fought it so hard. And then eventually it just clicked for me. I was like, you know what? There are people in this industry that do care. I'm building really awesome stuff. You know, at that time, some of our clients were, you know, professional athletes. And it's like, I'm going to these people's homes, building them these really amazing pieces. And I don't know what it was. I don't, you know, there wasn't any day in particular where it just clicked for me, but it just did. And I was like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. And, you know, that was probably 7 or 8 years ago. And actually probably longer than that if I've been here. So we're probably looking
How old are
8,
you, if
9
you don't
years
mind me asking?
36.
36.
Okay, so he's our age.
Yeah, he's our age.
Yeah.
Ken, did when you kind of had that epiphany, did anything change in your work, meaning like your output, or did you kind of have the same output throughout, and it was just kind of like an internal click, or did you see that kind of come out in what you were doing?
I think it was more of a mental change for me. You know, throughout when I was going through a hard time there, everybody's like, oh, but you're so good at this. You should, you know, pursue this. You should keep doing it. You're very talented. And I'm just like, yeah, sure, but I don't care about it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was something that kind of clicked. And, you know, eventually it was like, I became a much more positive person, I guess, you know, better headspace, all of this. And it was just like this mental clarity, I guess, where it was like, you know what, this is it. And this is good enough. And you know what, you can make a really good living off of blue collar work. Who cares what anybody else says?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. And I'm preaching to the choir here, and everybody who's listening to this knows too, but there's probably somebody out there who needed to hear that. And, you know, if somebody had told me that when I was younger, that probably would have changed my whole, you know, perspective on this industry from, you know, a different age. But, you know, that wasn't the narrative that I was told at that age. And
I think everybody, or every time we speak, all 4 of us everywhere, and you're in front of people, and or you have that opportunity, you should and you see young people in there, you should say something about, it's a great way to make a living. Yeah. It is a fantastic, gratifying way to make a living, because I have said that a few times, and a few years have transpired, and I have people walk up to me in a crowd and say, dude, I remember talking to you and I got into trades. I was blown away. And I was so impressed when I was hanging out in Boston once with a couple of guys. We were having some barbecue, and these people walked up and said, hey man, I'm in the trades because of you. And the guy looked at me and goes, what do you do? You know, and it was pretty cool. And that was Norm Abram. And Norm loves talking to people, because he's inspired so many people, but he still is so sincere when he talks to me, because he loves bringing people into the trades. And I wanted to ask Ken you a question. I know you worked in the cabinet industry, but how the heck did you get involved with Nick Schiffer? How did you guys meet? What happened? You know,
the way that everybody else meets him, Instagram or Facebook, or one of those. Yeah. So when I met Nick, I actually wasn't in the market for a job, but I figured I would talk to him because it wouldn't hurt. So I was planning on going off, and so when I was at my last shop, planning on going off, starting my own company. Was starting to make some moves to do that. Ended up meeting Nick, went to the office, chatted with him for a while. There was no cabinet shop there, but at that time, you could definitely see there was a need for, some cabinetry. Let's just put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
The projects that they were doing, amazing projects, but from my perspective, the cabinetry could have used some help. So when we first had the conversation, it was like, you know what, hey, love to grow the shop, but we just don't have a demand for cabinetry right now. You might have to do like field carpentry. Like, okay, not a problem. We'll build the shop up. That never happened. In like the month time that I had that conversation with him to when I actually started, I was end up working 60, 80 hours a week in the shop, never in the field, for installs, of course, but there was never any field carpentry like we had discussed the possibility thereof. So, and that's it. Here we are 4, 5, 6 years later, something like that.
That is so cool, man. Yeah. I'm glad you guys get together, and it looks like you guys continuing success together. So that's cool.
Yeah, man, for sure.
So one thing I wanted, since we're on the topic of Nick and how you met him, going back to what you were saying, Sedge, about like it's so important for people to be involved in the trades. One of the things that I like about Nick so much, which he talks about incessantly on the Modern Craftsman podcast, is the need for him and all the guys, the need for like people to get involved in the trades. Like you can tell he is extremely passionate about people getting involved in the trades. But what is it like working with somebody like him? And that's before you answer, that's not like a setup, because I'm not trying to poke at a certain answer.
This is a tree of trust, Ken. This is a tree of trust. Okay.
With the branches, and the true. His attention to detail to me is uncanny, and I just want to know what that's like.
Yeah. I mean, like with anybody, there's ups and downs, or any company, anything, right? But it is really awesome to, like, the energy is great. We'll get on site and it'll just be brained up. What if we did all this crazy ideas? And at first, like, I'm a bit more of a realist, and I'm like, I don't know how we're going to fabricate that. And then it's like, you slowly start to kind of figure it out, and you're just like, yeah, I'm on board with that. That's going to be sick. So it's this constant, we actually had one of these just a couple of days ago. One of my favorite things, and it's not just with Nick, it's with anybody, when we're working out details on something, right? And you guys probably do this too, where you're like, stuck on a detail. You're like, I think it should be like this, but I'm not really sold on that way. And you guys sit in a room 5-10 minutes, and you just brain dump, and you're bouncing ideas off of each other. And just a few minutes later, you have this insane idea that just might work. But you basically figured out how to fabricate all these wild ideas. And even today, that's one of those moments that just like really just like, yeah, this is it. This is exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when you build it, and when that idea comes to fruition, it's just really gratifying. They're like, wow, I remember when we were spitballing this, but then all of a sudden, bam, there it is. And then the customer is ecstatic, and even better, they pay you.
Yeah, and that's one of the super cool things about this. Yeah. And again, I know you guys probably feel this way too. It's like you get this pile of rough lumber or this pile of plywood, and you're like, what the heck am I going to do with this? And then a couple of days later, it's this beautiful piece, and you're just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hi, Leo.
Sorry, he said he needed to come give me a hug. You want to say hi to everybody?
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Hey, buddy.
Is that Brian?
That is
Brian.
It is Brian.
We're talking.
We're talking.
But are they supposed to talk?
Yeah, we're just talking.
1, 2, 3. Hi, everybody.
All right, buddy. Daddy has to get back to work. Okay. Can you say bye, everybody?
Bye, everybody.
Oh my God. He's the new rock star. He grabbed that mic.
I think you guys found your fourth.
I know,
Oh my
right?
God. He is unbelievable. He's getting so big so quick. Hi, Nicole.
She can't hear.
Oh, she can't. He's got pods in.
Yeah. Okay, he's gonna go put him down.
Yeah. He's got another one on the way too.
Nice.
Another boy.
Oh wow. So he'll be filling that labor shortage here soon, single-handedly,
Uh-huh.
huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In 18 years, y'all have 2 people to come work for you.
Dude, I'm gonna put that in my calendar right now.
I tell you what, man, that
in 18 years, I think we'd be willing to move to Boston.
growing up in the 90s,
Prices will
that's
be very cheap, I'm sure.
that's what I kind of grew up hearing was, you got to go to school, you got to get this, you got to get that, and I am glad to see that emphasis on the trades is starting to come back. I have a buddy that's a plumber, just local area, and he makes about $200,000 a year. He has an ever-growing list of clients, and he never went to college. He did 2 years at a trade school, and that's it. And he's making more than a medical student makes fresh out of med school, and he doesn't have debt. So
yeah, exactly. We hear a lot of similar stories here too. And that's kind of something I wanted to mention as well. I think I kind of touched upon it when I said it was going to be a whole nother story, but I think we're starting to enter this new phase where, when we were growing up, everyone was pushing college. You don't want to get into the blue collars. You got to go to school. You got to go to school. And now all the people that went to school are having kids, and their kids are not quite college age yet, but are fast approaching. And I think the narrative that they're going to tell their kids is something totally different, because a lot of them got burned, especially those who graduated in the 2006 to 2010 range, got burned in school. And now their kids are kind of coming up to that age where they're probably pushing them more into the trades, which is phenomenal. And it's probably cyclical, because then they'll push their kids and go to school and whatever. But, it's going to be really great for the trades in a few years. Just a little tough right now, but we'll get through it.
They're probably pushing their kids into the trades because they need work done on their house and they can't find anybody right now.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I think, to Ben's point, I think we're not the only ones that know these guys who didn't go to school are making multiple 6 figures a year. And, people hear this stuff. So they're like, hey, why go to school and, come graduate with tons of debt only to make $80,000 a year, when you could skip school and learn a trade and make $200,000 within a few years. And, in a couple of years, it's going to be really good for the industry.
Yeah, for sure.
I go to a private school, and most of my professors are pretty liberal.
Our patrons pay for that, by the way, Ken.
Yeah.
Yeah, they full tuition paid for by patrons.
Yeah,
along with Jason's jet and my Lamborghini.
Yeah, and my Ferrari.
Yeah,
and my pickup pencil.
What do you get out of the deal?
I got a new pickup pencil every year.
Yeah.
Those things are like $5.
Hey man,
Ken.
you made out the deal.
I did.
Jeez. Wow.
And I've gotten in trouble a couple times laughing at my professors when they get on that spiel about why college is so much more important than anything else, and I just sit there and I'm asking them, like, how much school debt do you have for your master's program? And they're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, how much debt do you have for your master's program? And some would answer, some wouldn't. Most of them are after 6 figures. And I'm like, are you still paying that off? And they're like, well, yeah. I'm like, well, guess what? Plumbers aren't. Like,
yeah.
It just,
you know what you should say to them?
It's.
Have you considered starting a YouTube channel?
Oh my God.
Have you ever heard of Patreon?
Yeah.
But it's almost like a naivety that the general public has about the trades. They see it as like this dirty, like brutish kind of job or whatever like that. And it's just like, dude, you show me a single mother of 5 children that has a broken toilet, and I guarantee she's going to pay to the moon to have that thing fixed, you know,
Right.
or you know, a sorority house that doesn't have a water heater that works. Like they're going to pay to the nines to get it fixed, you know?
I'll go
Yeah,
fix that.
absolutely. And
Cold water
But,
in
you
a
know-
sorority house. Hang on, hold that thought.
Oh, God, shut up, Sid.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry.
anyway, I think there's two sides to that though. You know, we're looking at it from our lens of being in the trades, but there is a need for white collar jobs.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of stuff that still has to happen. You know, we still need to go to the doctor. You know,
Mhm.
there's things like that. But you know, it's a little bit of both sides.
Yeah.
But you know, I think right now we're in a phase where everybody was not forced, but pushed to go to school, and
Mhm.
the trades are now kind of suffering, and it's pretty clear, especially right now, where the last couple of years have been great for the building industry, and there's a huge shortage.
Mhm.
So you kind of have both things working against you in a way to kind of create this perfect storm of lack of help, let's call it.
It's definitely a good time to be in the trade, just like you said.
So
Yeah.
Ken, something we haven't hit on yet, which I would love for you to talk about, because we've talked about it on this podcast multiple times. Tell us how the whole Hive notebook thing got started.
All right. So years ago, I came across a stone paper company. They made various stone paper notebooks, things like that. And for me, I used to always write. I had a little notebook, much smaller than the Hive that you just showed. I would write down my fractions to decimal conversions because I would transfer between the two, like always punching in calculators, things like this. A lot of what we're doing is in millimeters, so you know, trying to make those conversions from European hardware over to all this. So I would just make a cheat sheet basically for myself in the front of a small notebook. You know, that one would I would get a new notebook and lose that one, or you know, would get tired from just wear, and I have to make a new one. And it sucks to have to write all that down every single time. And so I reached out to that stone paper company, and I actually gave them the idea. Like, you guys should do this. And they're just like, yeah, we'll look into it. Like, okay, I know how that goes. You're probably not going to look at it at all. Totally fine. So I kept this idea for a couple of years, and then it just kind of hit me like, why don't you make them? Just make it. We're so connected these days. You can definitely figure out the resources to do this. So I spent basically a year developing this product and, you know, the layout and all of the stuff before launching. And then as soon as I launched, actually, I didn't even officially launch. Word started getting out with, you know, I sent a few notebooks out to people to kind of test. Word started getting out, and within 2 weeks, completely sold out.
Wow.
And this was in, I think, October, and I couldn't get more until after the holidays. So it was just, you know, this wild trajectory from there. And it's been great. To be honest, I've neglected the company a lot over, you know, the past year since we've kind of been building up materia. Hive's been on the back burner, but it's been maintaining without me doing anything. But it's kind of to the point now where I need to feed it a little bit more. So I'm working on a few new products, as well as a few other ways to start marketing it a little bit more aggressively.
So it's funny because I saw Keith Johnson. I saw him post something about it in his stories or whatever. Keith and I are good friends, and I asked him about it. I was like, hey, what's the deal with that? Because it reminds me of a notebook that I used to have. I can't remember what the brand name was. It didn't have the stone paper in it, but it had like the band, and it had the little envelope, you know, storage slot in the back and all that. So I asked Keith. Matter of fact, I think it was right after he was on your guys's Nick's podcast when he was on that, and he was talking about it. And so I ordered them, and I immediately told these guys, a bunch of other people, these things are awesome. Like with the pages, with the stone paper, and how it's a totally different writing experience on that paper versus a different kind of paper. But I just thought it was really, really cool. And I didn't know like how deep you guys have gone into that or if it was just kind of like a one-time thing, or if this is like actually something that you've been maintaining.
Yeah, there's no signs of slowing down or shutting it down or anything like that. It is an actual business. It's its own company. And like I said, I'm working on developing a few new products. I've tried developing a couple other products over the past year or two. Didn't really, take those anywhere, but, we're looking to expand the offering to, different notebooks, different sizes. I would love to eventually get into, the idea was different industries. So right now we're kind of focused on the niche, more so cabinet making industry, not so much, construction, but kind of focusing into other areas. Any bartender, right? Whatever, video. I talked to some video guys, any kind of cheat sheet stuff that we can put in the front and kind of cater to these different niche markets. So that stuff's a little bit further out for me. I'd really rather focus on what I know in our niche and take the feedback that I've gotten from a lot of you guys and make different sizes, make, different page types, all sorts of stuff. And, people have asked for different colors, different this. So that's where I've started to introduce limited edition colors. So just trying to keep up with that, keep up with materia, and keep the momentum going with Hive. But I'm really interested in doing a lot more with it this year. So more good stuff to come on that one.
Now, I know you offered at one point, and I missed out on it. I think you and I had actually spoken about it, but you had offered if you wanted to order them like with your logo on them and stuff like that, you could order them in like a bulk order. Any plans on doing that again?
Yeah, so the way that the custom logos work right now, that's something that I'm looking to expand on this year to try to get them down to be a bit more end user friendly. Right now, it is a pretty big buy-in at 30 units. The units are discounted due to quantity, which you would think with the custom logo would be a little bit more. It's actually a little bit cheaper. Yes, there are larger fees to go along with the logo. We have to pay for the dies and all that to actually do the embossing. But even with that, I'm able to offer a larger discount just based on quantity to help ease that burden a little bit. So I am trying to find out another avenue where we can get down to a smaller minimum. But even with that, we're still having to buy that, embosser, which is probably $60 to $100 each, depending on the size of the logo. So if you only wanted one notebook, now you're buying a $100 notebook. Nobody's going to do that. So trying to get the offering down a little bit, but then if you bought the second one, I already have that die. I don't need to go and buy it again. So now your second one's the same price. So I'm working on that. But right now, the way it works is my manufacturer has minimums. So I need to meet those minimums in order to put the order in. I've talked them down to the 30 units. They used to want 500 minimum for a custom logo. Yeah. So I got them down to 30, which is still a lot, but it's a significant difference. I just have to put that order in the same time that I put a larger order in. So when I'm buying thousands of units, I'm able to, put the word out like, hey, Jason, you want a couple of, custom branded logos, notebooks? I'm putting an order in this date. Let me know yes or no. And you know how it goes. A lot of people say, yeah, I want them. And then when you actually reach out about pricing and quantities, you're cutting that down quite a bit. So we've done a number of them though, and they've all looked great.
Ken, how much of a discount would I get if I want to order some hives that said Jason Bent sucks? What kind of discount codes are we talking here?
Oh, for that one, dude, I might split that with you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
I knew it was coming. And
as soon as you guys started talking about it, I was like, wait a minute. I've got a whole brand idea now.
No joke. Like if you were to make that available to patrons, they'd sell out in a day.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. They would all buy it. Absolutely. The Green Sitters podcast edition.
Yeah.
That's good to know. I'm just going to have to get you to sign off on copyright things or something.
I own the rights to Jason Bent sucks. So
yeah.
It's all good. It's already registered.
Send me the logo files. We'll split the profits.
Yeah.
So do you handle the fulfillment, the shipping and all of that?
Yeah, right now I'm handling everything.
Dude,
wow.
It is such a cool unwrapping experience when you get it too. like the envelope
Yeah,
that comes in, like it's all it's all very deliberate, very thought out. Like I just remember when I got mine, I was like, holy crap, this is like really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's awesome to hear, because that was a big reason why I wanted to do that. I wanted to make it an experience, right? You're buying a premium product. The notebooks aren't cheap. So I wanted to take those extra steps to make people, really excited to get this and open it. And, the branding colors, it's basically just black on black with a little bit of gold. I really like that. I think it really,
My watch just went off.
Oh, I was wondering what that was.
Who's talking to me?
Siri thought that I was saying
maybe I just had a stroke or something.
Probably the blow up doll on his bed.
Oh, I'm telling.
Teresa, shut up.
Oh, look, there's the kitty cat on your bed.
Ken, I think the Hive notebooks, it's like the NS Builders version of Etsy experience. That's what it was for me. All those people on Etsy that like go to all the trouble to like wrap their stuff and like, oh, this is amazing. Look at the twine on this cutting board and the little card. I was like, this right here, this is what it really should be.
No, actually, I think my experience was the best one.
Well, you got the in-person experience.
I did. I got a really nice delivery in person by Ken himself.
Well, why don't you just brag about it, Sedge?
Yeah, just rub it in our faces.
Hey,
yeah, just rub it in our face. Look, we're just these little peons.
Jason, you can get the same experience. You just got to fly me over there in the private jet.
Yeah,
me up for a couple nights. Not a big deal at all. All for
let you use the Ferrari as a rental for your charge, of course.
Yeah, I love it.
Complimentary, of course.
Yeah.
Nice.
This so you know what I really like is you offer it in lined and grid. I just think that is the cat's pajamas right there, man, for sure.
Yeah. I definitely need some Ben's woodworking ones.
How many iterations do you think you went through from, and not just developing the book itself, but like the overall final product? Like we're talking about how it's wrapped, how it's presented, how it's logoed, like. How many iterations did you go through? Yeah.
There's been dozens. I ordered, dozens of samples, and, the samples aren't free. You have to pay for samples and you're getting them from the manufacturers. I ordered dozens and dozens to find a combination of, I like this, but I like that. I want this piece. I want that piece, and kind of started putting stuff together. The first ones that I got, I actually put like 100 and something pages in them. They were thick. They were probably like 1.25 inches thick.
Wow.
Like, all right, this is a little too many pages. I need to scale it back a little bit. Wow. And then not to mention, like, I designed all the interiors, everything myself as well. There's probably 40 or 50 different files of revisions on my computer right now that were from those pages, plus, the different sizes, different styles, all sorts of stuff. So dozens and dozens. So funny story. I actually, when I first started wrapping them, I would practice trying them out, like wrapping styles on some of the samples that I got. So early on, one of them somehow got mixed up in the actual real hives to go out to ship to paying customers. Fortunately, it was a designer that we worked with at the time who she bought like 5 of them. And she just happened to she was giving them out as gifts, and she just happened to open that one, and it was the wrong one. And she thought I was just playing a joke on her. No, I wish I could say, but I didn't, but I'm very thankful it happened to you, because otherwise it'd be way more embarrassing. So yeah, shipped her out a new one. All was right with the world, but geez, that was embarrassing.
Guys, I don't know if tonight's the right night to talk about it, but I did want to tell you about a business idea that I had.
Jason, you can't sell shit in a bag and give it to people. Okay.
Well, I had an idea. It's called Jive notebooks.
Jive hand script.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this idea. Wait, let me get my.
We're going to have a conversion chart in the middle of the book.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to have mine in the front and the back, just in case somebody, is dyslexic and starts from the end and goes away.
So I had this.
You're going to have your writing go from like right to left though?
Yeah.
In the back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, perfect.
So I had this question, Kim, whenever. When I first got my hive in, so everyone knows the best pen to use is the Pilot GT07. Everyone knows that this is the best pen ever created. But
I know where this is headed.
But it doesn't. I mean, it still works with the hive. You just got to let it dry because it's a gel pen. So, what is the best pen that I need to be using?
Oh,
or
standard
pencil, standard ballpoint.
Yeah, so standard ballpoint. My personal favorite. I like to write with felt tipped markers. So fine felt tipped pencils work.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
If you read the instructions or if you read the thing, it tells you not to use a gel pen on there.
Yeah, I totally didn't read it, obviously.
Yeah. No, that's the number one complaint that I get with them. You know, my gel pen smudges or this pen smudges, and like, well, yeah, it's not like paper. It doesn't absorb the ink like paper does. So using a different type of pen, and you know, some people, like you said, are married to having the Pilot G2 or whatever their favorite pen might be. But what's funny is I've tried dozens and dozens of pens on this. Even the cheap, you know, Bic ballpoints that you get $100 for $1, write so smooth on that thing. It's the pages that make it. But yes, the gel pens don't do so hot on there. You know, any of those really, even some ballpoints that have, you know, unusually wet inks, don't do so well. But I really like the felt tip markers.
Yeah, they're like those Pilot ones, right? Those Pilot fine tip.
I use personally I use the Microns.
Oh, cool.
The Micron Pigma. But I have a couple of the Sharpie pens, even the small felt tip Sharpies. Stabilo is another one that I use a couple of theirs on.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you right now, if there was a hive pen on the website, 100% would have gotten.
Told you, man. There's a lot of products in the works, so
100% would have gotten
for
it
sure.
because I keep this. I keep this on my motorcycle, so that whenever I'm like stopping somewhere to eat or charge or whatever ideas I have, I'm writing it down in here, and because it's waterproof, like I don't have to worry about it getting like ruined or anything like that. But if there was like a nice little hive pen or pencil to go in there, 100% would have gotten it.
Well, we'll give a little spoiler then to your audience. Last year I was looking to make a mechanical pencil. That one kind of stopped a little short. I was having a difficult time finding a machinist that could make these for us in the quantities that we were looking for a reasonable price point. That stuff would get super expensive super quick. So there are a couple of different pen manufacturers that I'm looking at making, and Fisher Space Pen being one of them. Kind of goes pretty well hand in hand with the whole hive waterproof durability kind of factor. I don't know if you guys know about the Fisher Space Pens, but they're zero gravity pens. They're pressurized cartridges, so you can write upside down, you can write underwater, all of this stuff with them. Super cool. Actually, another maker friend of mine turned me on to them. So I've been looking into those, chatting with those guys to try to get something going. So hopefully this year we get some hive pens.
Well, I'll definitely prototype it.
Wow.
Test it out.
My Jive pens are coming out in 2 months. Sorry.
Yeah. Here we go.
Hey, okay. I got a quick question. When it comes to a mechanical pencil, what size? 0.5, 0.7, 0.9 that you like?
I'm a 0.7.
I'm a 0.9.
I think the 0.9's a little too fat for me.
Yeah.
0.5, I like the thin lead, but they break too easy.
Too brittle, yeah.
No kidding. I hate 0.5s. Yeah. Cool. I always ask. I think it's a cool thing.
All right.
Yeah.
I've got a really critical question, and it is such a sensitive topic here on the Green Series podcast. Ken, if you were made president of the entire world and you had to choose which system the world was going to operate on,
I know what his answer is going to be.
Would you pick imperial or metric? Choose wisely.
Wow, this one is a tough debate, huh? Both have their pros and cons, and I know the imperial system better, but I think metric probably makes more sense.
Oh, wise choice.
I knew we liked you.
Wise choice, my friend. We are
actually
metric great again.
I wouldn't say we're metric purists, but we definitely love metric.
I actually
good.
I
thought you guys might have been a little divided here. I was wondering where the cards were going to fall.
No, we're 100%
absolutely
metric.
not. Oh, I still use both, but I'm more on the metric side. I agree with Ken. They both do have their place.
So you're a switch hitter?
Yeah.
You know it.
The hive.
Well, I'm just saying, if you did some patent research, you probably would have seen that Jive Notebooks was already out there. I think you're the copier.
You're right. You got me. It was all just a scam to get me to this point right now.
Yep. And Jason, he did a short stint in the processed meat industry too. He called it the Jive Ass Turkey. That was the product line.
Yeah.
There's the Jive Notebook and then the Jive Ass Turkey.
Yeah. So this is something that I did want to ask. What is it? Why cabinetry? What is it about cabinetry that you like so much? What is it about cabinetry that draws you into it?
That's a really good question. And it's not so easily answered. I think it comes down to the details that are required on something like that. That's not to say, the details aren't there for, other things or other aspects of woodworking or, carpentry in general. But just, the finesse that needs to go into this, the precision that needs to happen in this, it's very challenging. Some people might look at them like they're just cabinets, but it is quite challenging. And I like that challenge. I like trying to fit these pieces together. Like how do I build that? How do I fabricate this? And I guess these sound like generic answers because they could be, put into any type of carpentry. But for me, I think that's what it comes down to, the details and, standing back at the end of the day, and it's like, damn, I built that. Like, this is impressive. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Has there ever been one of those times where, like, because I've heard Nick talk about it on the podcast stuff where they'll be like looking at something and this is wrong, and we're going to rip it all out and we're going to make it right. Like, how often does that happen with you going in there and like looking at what's been installed?
At least a lot of the cabinetry stuff has been kind of a unanimous decision between Nick and I. If something's not right, like there's one that we talk about a lot because it was an entire kitchen. I don't want to say we made the mistake, but we ended up subbing a kitchen out. We just couldn't take it on. Subbed the project out and it backfired. Client complained about a couple things. We got on site to see what we could do to fix it. And it was before the job was even done. The client had mentioned it like the day after install or the day it was installed, which we didn't even install it. So we got on site and looked at it, and right away we both kind of like looked at each other like, no, this is unacceptable. It has to go. And I think most of the time I'm catching it in the shop before it goes out because I'm actively in the shop every day. It's like, nope, guys, this didn't meet the mark. We need to do it again. Rebuild this cabinet, rebuild that door, whatever it might be. So I think I'm catching it a little bit sooner, right? Than you guys often hear about with ripping something out of the entire space once it's already installed. So that doesn't happen few and far. That happens few and far between with cabinetry that we're actually producing. So you do get it a little bit more in the shop before it ever gets to that point.
Right.
What's your preference? Euro or full frame cabinets?
Again, pros and cons of each.
Okay, so what are the pros and cons? Because that's been one of our biggest discussed topics on one of our episodes that people just like loved hearing about. So
sure, but to answer the first question, I'm going more traditional inset from a fabrication standpoint. Again, going back to the reasons why I like the cabinetry, it's so much more challenging. And I think it's more rewarding to stand back and look at that type of cabinetry after you're fabricating it. But, the pros and cons, like, for instance, if we're doing like a flat panel Euro full overlay, it's faster and cheaper. The super modern look, I actually really do like that as well. So it really depends on the look that you're trying to achieve. The traditional, face frame, inset, shaker doors, all of that, obviously much more traditional look. I think it's a bit fancier looking.
Yeah,
but there
that's
are
what I was about
people
to say,
that
is that it yields to more ornateness than
right.
a frameless overlay. Yeah.
Yeah, which is why I personally would prefer to, fabricate something of that more traditional style, more challenging. It's just more ornate. It's more appeasing at the end of the day. But it really depends on the product, the space. I mean, the homes are going to kind of tell you what they want cabinetry. You're not going to, people are now kind of breaking those barriers, but you're not going to go into like a super traditional home and put a modern kitchen in there. And then, vice versa. But, I think some of the other, pros and cons are with these materials come, budget constraints. If somebody wants, the more traditional look, but has a limited budget, they're probably not going to be able to swing that. And a lot of people, and we do it too, there are ways where you can kind of give them that more traditional look without going for full inset cabinetry, which is incredibly time consuming and therefore incredibly expensive. I don't want to say they're cutting corners, but there's things like you're not going with full face frames. Maybe you're just doing some kind of filler as a divider between there. You're, instead of having a style going across your, a rail going across all your face frames, in between every drawer, you have one frame kind of around it and all your drawers in between. If any of this is even making sense to you guys.
No, 100%.
So there are ways, I think there are ways to kind of get the best of both worlds. And then something that's super popular is, what we call in our shop is more transitional, where you have full overlay, but there's still, the shaker style with maybe a less ornate crown molding, things like this, where you're kind of marrying both styles. And that's something that's been super popular. And I think it's probably because you're getting more of that traditional look with a little bit more affordability.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah, as I was asking the question, I just kind of thought of how full frame inset does give you the opportunity to be more ornate with it, whereas I all of us kind of prefer Euro style, and maybe my preference is that because it is easier to make, it is quicker to make. I think that it's a little bit more forgiving because of the reveals that you have and stuff like that, and I think it's a really good perspective, and kind of makes me rethink how I want to do upcoming projects and stuff.
And it also depends on your market, because you can't find a face frame shop in South Florida. It's all frameless.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like we're moving Materia South Florida division, huh?
I'm telling you, man, it's really weird, because I came from Maine. It's all face frame. And Midwest is all face frame, and it was tough, because when I came up here, I told them I built frameless cabinets. They go, "Oh, you do industrial?" Well, if you look like the cabinets that they have in these big warehouse kitchens, it's yeah, of course, but that's not what it is. When you can make a really nice door, add the crown to it, it looks full overlay. It looks really nice. And in Florida, people just look at the doors and drawer fronts,
So do you think the difference between the cabinetry in Florida and the cabinetry in Maine that you were seeing is a financial reason, or, maybe the style of the homes? In Maine, you have a lot more older traditional homes.
Exactly.
Where in Florida, stuff's a bit more modern.
Yep.
A mix of the two, or you just think that's the style of people down in South Florida?
That's the style of South Florida. And it's a mix. It's a melting pot. People from South America, from Europe. And I find that in the bigger metropolitan areas, you'll see more frameless.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is I was stationed all across the U.S. I was in Seattle. I was here in Virginia, South Carolina. I grew up in Louisiana, and 100% the styling of the area that you're in dictates what it is. And just like said, Like when you're on the West Coast, Northwest, everything is overlay. Everything. There's no traditional whatsoever. Everything's sleek, modern, clean lines, flat surfaces. You go to Louisiana where you've got like an Acadian wraparound porch. Everything inside is super traditional. Everything, and the same thing for here in Virginia. Everything is super traditional. There's no modern touches whatsoever, and I 100% agree that it is about the styles of the homes that are in the area. Like my girlfriend lives in Richmond. It's a really big city. Everything in her condominium is modern. Everything. You go 20 miles to the west where her parents are. They're out in the country. Everything's full frame.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And, kind of digging into that more, the question that you had asked, right now, my personal kitchen, I built it a few years ago. It's on that transitional style. It's shaker doors, but full overlay with some molding. But I live in a house that was built in the late 1800s. It's an old Victorian home. I'm not going to put a super modern kitchen in there. Can you make it fit? Yeah, sure, you could. It's not so cut and dry. I mean, you need a little bit more of the aesthetic there, sure. And people are doing it and it looks great. But I think at the end of the day, if I were, building, I had the opportunity to build whatever home I wanted, it would be super modern house. Everything full overlay, flat panel, I'm sure would be the aesthetic there.
Yep. Would you still
again,
like,
that's the house.
Would you like a color like lacquer finish, or would you go like wood grain and that super modern?
Probably color.
Yeah,
something neutral, blacks, grays, whites, things like that. And then probably accessorize with color.
Yeah, cool.
My wife's all on the natural looking white oak kick. Maybe even like a two-tone painted base cabinets, light uppers.
Is that what you're going to put in the new house or what? Hey, I know a guy who does cabinetry if you need cabinetry in the house.
Hey, if you're willing to come down to Indiana, I'd be happy to do it.
Ken, when do you
think
fill
up that private jet? No problem.
YouTube collaboration.
I'll get you a pick a pencil.
Dude, I'm in.
See, you gotta know how to entice.
I'm just waiting for that traditional mid-90s golden oak to come back. You know what I'm saying? That everybody had.
I think you're alone. I think you're alone with that one.
I just installed paneling in my basement.
It's so hideous. God, it's terrible.
Boy. You know what other one gets me too is the white laminate with that oak kind of inlay integrated pole. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Also from like 70s or 80s. It's real.
Terrible.
I hate that.
Absolutely terrible.
Wow, this is making me feel really bad. That's exactly what I was going to do in my house.
Yeah. Done. So
I'm an old soul, guys. Old soul.
This is starting to sound like $500,000 kitchen that we're going to be building you.
100%. Man. Well, it's funny because I was talking to Sedge already. If we were going to stay in this house, we were going to do redo this kitchen. And now I'm like, thank God I don't have to do it. But now I got to do it in the next house. But it'll be all right.
It's easy,
good
YouTube videos.
So we're on a close enough topic for one of our patrons submitted a question for you, Ken. And just get ready for all of us to kind of roll our eyes at who wrote this. I think you guys.
Patrick.
Patrick from Mother by Dragonfly wrote in. Unfortunately, so his question was kind of around, again, casings and baseboards and stuff like that. And so he says builder grade seems to be too thin. Again, going back to the baseboards and door casings and stuff. What size would you recommend if you had to upgrade? He said that he went from 3-inch baseboards to 5 1/4, and he said the difference to them just feels more regal.
It's spatial. I think it depends on the size of this. Your ceiling heights are going to dictate a lot of this stuff. I do agree. I think the 3 inch is a little bit short for probably most spaces. It feels a little bit too like apartment complex style to me. But I like moldings, especially in the house that I'm in. It's older Victorian home, so yes, it's molding heavy. I don't think there's one final answer, but anything over the 3-inch, I think he's probably pretty good with. The taller the ceilings and things like that, I think the higher you go with your base.
And just to be clear, I'm pretty sure Patrick asked that question because he was just trying to sharpshoot you to see if you really knew what you were talking about, because that's all that he does to us.
That's Patrick.
Well,
Patrick is a
that's
Marine.
fine.
What was a Marine? No, is a Marine.
I'm a former Marine.
I'm always a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
I don't do a ton of base, so
Yeah.
I guess that's not really my forte, you know.
Yeah, Patrick, that's peasant work.
Yeah,
Patrick is all about the base.
Finnish carpenters.
Yeah. That's what I have my water boy do for me. He does all my baseboards.
My water boy.
Yeah.
Is that like the
No,
same
I
as
thought
a,
you were going
is it-
with that, but
is like the same as a chai boy, or is it?
Yeah, kind of the same. Trying to be politically correct here, Ben.
Oh my God. We're gonna get kicked off of the Apple podcast.
Nah, we'll be all right.
All right.
They love controversy. So Ben, what do you think?
hey, good topic.
I think we I know I asked him
Right.
the majority of the questions that I wanted to ask him. I felt like every time you started talking, I'm like, oh, I wanted to ask him this. I wanted to ask him this. But I think we covered a lot of really good stuff.
Oh, 100%. I guess before we get.
I got one more question.
Yes. Sedge.
Ken, do you like wings?
Oh yeah, forget about this.
You know, why did I know this was gonna why did I know it was gonna come up? Yes, I love wings. Who doesn't love wings?
Okay, what's a good place in your area for wings?
Oh, I don't know.
Man.
There's a place up the road actually called 224. Small little mom
Okay.
and pop restaurant.
224?
Yeah.
Okay, 224. Gotcha. Thanks.
Said you like wingies.
Said you like wingies.
Enjoy.
Sedge, do you know any good places in Providence near the expo?
No. Well, the best place I always go, because I just live there when I'm there, is a Union Brew Pub. They have the best calamari ever, fried
You told me that,
calamari. Yeah.
Is that
So I go
close?
there. I go there for an appetizer, have a beer, then I go and do whatever, and then I meet people for dinner and have a couple more calamaris and a couple more beers. It's freaking awesome. Yeah, I can't wait. I love Providence. I'm staying at a new hotel this year. It's called Hotel Providence. It's older, so something different.
Yeah.
You're the kind of guy that goes into hotels and just tears apart all the molding and the cabinetry and all of that.
Yes.
I mean,
So in Las Vegas, there's a hotel where you used to put people, when we had a training center out there, we put people up at called Sunset Station. 15 years ago on my
Sounds
first
horrible.
day, I walked into that room and looked up. You know, they get that they get that big foam crown molding in those rooms.
Mhm.
Every room, the crown is hung upside down. Oh my God.
Nice.
And every
Nailed it.
time I stayed, I must have stayed there 30 times. It killed me.
I'm surprised
Yeah.
you didn't flip it around in the middle of the night, made your room nice and neat.
I said something at the front desk. They just laughed at me.
The next
Wait,
year he
what?
brings his cordless nailer and he's like just rips him down.
Pissed me right off.
One of my favorite things though, is when people, reach out and they're like, Ken, you've ruined cabinetry for me. I can't go and stay at my friend's house or a hotel without criticizing their cabinet. This isn't grain match. That's not grain match. This isn't miter wrapped. I'm like, love it. It's so funny.
It is. It's funny as heck, man, because you do notice that
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I was talking about. Like the attention to detail and the stuff that you guys do is just like my brain doesn't even work like that. Those are details that I would never even think of to do. Like even when you guys do like that, those little like 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch, spacings to give that
Mhm.
perfect line all the way around. Like those things, I'm just like, how would you even think of that? You know what I mean?
This is the kind of like, I guess that's just how my brain works. Like when I see these projects, I'm like, okay, this has to be done that way to look the best, and not everybody notices that. And that's fine. It's not their job to notice it. At the end of the day, I want somebody to notice that this piece looks better than that piece. I can't tell you why, but I know that one's better.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Well, it comes down to this. That customer doesn't notice the details, but they do because their eye does not lie. they're looking at something that you've created, like all the grain match or your waterfall, your drawer boxes, right? They don't know, but their eye says that is freaking beautiful, but they don't know why, right? And then all of a sudden you go, well, we did a continuous grain, and they go, oh, that's what I like about it. Or I book matched, or I did that. The eye doesn't lie. That attention to detail, that customer loves. Yeah.
And that's where people, that's where we're kind of showing these people. And that's where I get the replies back where they're like, you've ruined cabinetry for me. I can't go into my parents' house without, criticizing their kitchen that they just had redone and spent $100,000 on. It's like, that's the kind of stuff that, makes it worthwhile at the end of the day for me. Going above and beyond with all this, like, yeah, sure, we could just slap on any old panel there, but that's not something I'm going to be proud of at the end of the day. Something that I'm not going to be, that I want to stand behind and want to, post on social media. Like Nick, kind of has this thing for a while there where if you were doing something and you're kind of like, and it was like, okay, if I put a picture of that on social media right now, how would you feel? Would you be proud to show 100,000 people this? Or would you kind of squirm a little bit? And if like the answer is squirm, then fix it. Yeah. And not everybody has the luxury to, go back and buy new materials or buy this or fix that. I understand that, but not everybody also likes to, do things that way and get that challenge. For me, we just looked at a project where it was 2 floors, first floor millwork, top floor millwork. And I priced out the whole job. We didn't get the second floor. So again, this is kind of new territory for us with material. It's a project that NS Builders wouldn't have taken on. And as we're walking through the space, they're talking about how this particular unit is walnut, it's going to be horizontal grain, and this, that, and the next. And I'm like, no. It's not just going to be that. It was something like 13 feet long if you were to measure everything out linearly, but there was a lot of jogs in the walls that ended up folding into 2 pocket doors. And the idea was, like, as I'm going through this space, I'm like, this is going to be incredible. We'll wrap this grain all the way around. I'm pulling measurements, making sure that we can that we can actually do this. So I'm pulling these measurements, like, yeah, we have just enough. We can get this, so that the doors, right where they fold, book match back, and both sides match.
Sweet.
And that's the stuff that like gets me excited. We're on site, we're spitballing these ideas. I'm like, this is incredible. And then we didn't get that part of the job. And I know the person that's going to do it is just going to throw any old stuff up there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, we'll make our millwork on the first floor really shine so that they're like, shoot, we should have went with that one.
Yeah.
But, can't win them all.
It's really cool.
Those are the little details you get excited about. What's that?
What's really cool is when you do those details and somebody really points them out. It feels really good. You could have 50 people sit at your bar top and go, boy, this is really nice. And then your nephew shows up and goes, Uncle Brian, that is the perfect grain match. And I go, finally. But it felt good that he noticed that, because he's an incredible cabinet builder in North Carolina.
Nice.
It's just good. It's good to get that recognition like you're getting when you're matching everything and doing grain wraps. It's a good feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, we even had a client that, we did their whole kitchen, all this book matched veneer. Every panel was the same throughout, like island, refrigerator, everything. And he didn't really care, to be honest. That's fine. But his father, who is in like lumber sales years and years ago, came over and like mind was blown. He started pointing this out, and then it got the kid excited. And, it's just like, you never know who's going to walk into that house and see that space and like,
damn right,
be mind blown about it. So it's cool to hear those stories and to get that feedback as well.
Yeah. Which just goes to highlight the importance of always taking, putting the pride into the work that you're doing, because you literally never know who's going to be looking at it or watching it, or how that's going to lead to something else down the line.
Yeah, and
I mean that's just something that. No, good.
No, that's an excellent point. People often reach out to me and kind of like ask, how did you get started in this? How do you get paid for that? I always tell them, like, the clientele that you're after that will pay to have this extra work done, is out there. Maybe you don't have them right now, but when you do get these products or projects, you do need to put your best foot forward. And you know what, if you're early on, you're probably going to need to eat some of this time and labor to put out the product that you want to put out, to get the jobs that you want later on down the road, in order to get them to pay you to do that. So, you know, you got to put a little bit of effort in on that front end to get that on the back, you know? And that's just something I like to tell people too, is put that effort in. You know, maybe you're not getting paid for it on this one, and that's okay. The next one you will, because now you'll have that portfolio to show them, this is what I'm talking about when I say green match, you know?
Yep.
Very well said.
All I can think about now is somebody being like, Mom, Ken would have never let this happen in your kitchen.
This probably gotten messages about that too.
This scribe filler strip is horseshit.
Oh yeah.
Forget it. Nail it.
Nana,
we
Nana, come here. Nana, look at this. Do you think Ken would have done this, Nana? No, he wouldn't have.
He didn't even grain match this shit.
Stop being so cheap, Nana.
He didn't grain
that
match
kitchen
the
was built
laminate.
before I was even born. Yeah.
Well, I think it's I think we need to introduce the other member of the podcast.
Yes,
The
here he
fifth member.
comes.
I think it's time.
It's time.
Guys, I just overheard your conversations with Ken, and it made me think about how superior German engineering is to pretty much anything that Americans do. And this is why you guys love Festool so much, because we take the time, we book match all of our aluminum panels for all of our tools. And I even heard Ken say that the millimeter is better than the inch. And I couldn't agree more. I firmly believe that the metric system is infinitely better than the imperial systems.
Look, match aluminum.
All of that aside, guys, we all know why I'm here. I have brought no bratwurst. I have brought nothing else other than internet hatreds. Jason, you're always spearheading the hatred for us. What do you have for us tonight on this segment of Get Bent?
Well, Hans, it's great to see you.
Yes.
Yes. Hello.
Thank you for joining us and making Ken wish that he never came on the podcast. So because of time, I only have one tonight, but it's a good one, and I think we could actually talk about it. Do any of you guys have
I do. I have
any
one.
of the hatreds?
Wow.
I do. Mine's
right.
really short.
Okay, I'm gonna read mine. This was on my "Can your assembly table do this?" the ultimate assembly table setup, right? Another popular video for hatreds.
Yeah.
I love this one. All right, it says, I watched a video of yours the other day about drawer slides. I was pretty impressed, so I thought I would look at a couple of projects that you've done. I had a hard time finding much. I then realized pretty much all you do is commercials for your tool suppliers. Not impressed. Unsubscribed.
I saw that one. I think I was looking at it today. I saw that and I was like, oh, that's a good one.
This freaking guy. Okay, first of all, I love how he started off with a compliment. Those are my favorite hateful comments when they start off with something nice.
We call that a criticism sandwich. You got two positive pieces of bread, and then you got the shitty meat in the middle.
Yeah, I bet you he fixes water heaters at sorority houses.
Lucky guy.
Yeah,
fraternity houses. That's where I'd fix them at.
Ooh.
No, but I just love
get some cold water.
What if my channel was only about tools?
There are channels that 100% only do that.
Yeah. Does it mean that my channel's not helpful? I like instructional videos and tool videos. I don't like doing build videos. You know why? Because I have to film the entire thing. Then I have to edit the entire thing. And then I got to do a voiceover for the entire thing. And at the end of the day, they're the worst views that I get. So why invest all that time? But I just love how he was like, I saw your video. It was really helpful. I was really impressed. Thank you. Then I wanted to see if you do any actual work.
Yeah, I'm just going to shit all over you.
Yeah, go F yourself, pal.
Yeah. You get 2 subscribers, you in your hand.
Not impressed, unsubscribed. So that means he was subscribed to me, I guess.
Where's mom?
Yeah. I just don't get it. I love
Whatever.
I love the hateful comments now. This is like the highlight of my week every week.
It's the most entertaining part of the podcast. So this one was on my video, 6 Ways to Haul Plywood and all you own is a car. Get to the point already. That's it.
That was it.
That was it.
You did it in the thumbnail.
I've actually gotten quite a few comments that I could read on the new track saw video.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. But they're just dumb. They're all the things exactly what I would have expected them to be.
Yeah, it costs too much.
No,
I don't like the color.
No,
You know?
no, that was one of the
The
ones I
aluminum
got.
wasn't book matched.
Yeah. This is like elementary, guys. Come on. I mean, everyone knows that you should match
It's
your
all-
aluminum panels. It's
Actually, wait, Jason, why don't you tell me all of those so when I go to make mine, I don't have to deal with any of that. You know, I can address it beforehand.
Yeah, head on. Well, of course, everybody's always like, "Oh, thinner curved blades. Talk about deflection." Okay, sure.
No, that was the biggest thing about that new blade that we
No.
were really concerned about.
But
Cut a
they-
45 on
Oh yeah.
cut a 45 on an inch, a little over an inch, and
But Sedge-
it does not deflect.
It doesn't, but it doesn't matter. Those people don't have the saw, and they just want to hate on Ben's Woodworking and everybody else. This
Well,
person,
They have
person-
contempt for content.
yeah.
This
You
is
talked
troll.
about the price.
Say
This-
it, Hans.
We like to turn
person-
contempt into content. It's a
This
very
person
successful business
commented,
model.
I don't think
It's
this
my
was like
favorite part.
I don't think this was a negative comment, but they said, plus a mortgage to buy one. Same great feature. LOL.
That's actually a pretty good one.
Oh man, I love people being so angry.
I'm telling you, man, I'm starting to notice more and more that other content creators are starting to get on that train as well, where they just highlight like all the negative comments and people just laugh at it.
Yeah, well, that's how you just turn it into something fun. I actually like.
you just shrug at it, you just kind of laugh.
Yeah,
It's the best way to deal with it. The best way to process it.
one person was talking about they love all the new and improved stuff, but they just wish that there was a decent adhesive for the plastic guard on the rail. It's like no matter what you do, somebody is.
I
not
really wish
happy.
somebody would just change the color of the aluminum on it. I don't like it.
It's awful.
Why can't they have a pink rail?
Oh, I love it. The video's not doing terrible. It started off pretty bad, but it's speaking of that, I'm doing the A/B testing
Oh,
on the
Oh, how-
thumbnail.
on TubeBuddy.
Is
Yeah.
it? Yeah. Are
That
you
you- that
using
you-
TubeBuddy?
Yeah, that
I
he just
did.
paid $500 for accidentally.
Did you really?
Yeah. So when you sign up, you can do it by month,
Yeah.
but it automatically defaults to the year. And I was up
Oh,
here
how
like
nice.
I was working on like 10 different things at the same time. I'm like, oh yeah, TubeBuddy. And I go on there and I log in, I sign up for everything. And I was like, check out. And right as I hit the checkout button, I looked down in the bottom and had the check mark clicked for the full year. And then I got a notification, you just paid $485 to TubeBuddy. And I was like, oh God.
Yeah, but you'll make that up.
Yeah. But what they've been doing is every 24 hours, they switch it. So every day the thumbnail switches. And today I should actually be able to log in today and like see the data so
See if-
far from the.
See if one was better than the other.
That's cool.
It's pretty
Hey,
cool.
really quick, did you see who is on Joe Rogan? It was not the last podcast, but the one before it. I'm listening to it now. I'm freaking out. Mr. Beast
Oh,
Oh, really?
on Joe Rogan, and it is exceptional. That guy's awesome.
Interesting.
And I've never watched any of the videos, but just listening to him, that's awesome. Cool guy. I'm going to start watching some of his videos. He's got 100 employees.
Yeah.
He
I mean,
invests all
he's-
his money back into his channel.
He's running a logistics company. That's pretty much what he
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Logistics and production company.
A year and a half, he's in hundreds of millions on his Beast Burger.
Mm-hmm.
All the companies this guy is doing. He's 23.
Yeah, he's a millionaire. And
It's
here we are.
wild.
Here we are schlepping on a podcast.
Yeah, but I like to build. I like to build boxes. Sorry.
No, I know. I'm just joking.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. What's up? Where we at?
I think we're good, huh, Jason? Unless there's anything else you wanted to.
No, I think it was great.
Ken, before we sign off, is there anything upcoming that you're really excited about that you want people to know about? Whether it's a personal project, a project that you have with Nick, anything coming up that you want people to check out?
No, I think we've kind of touched on those. For me, it's Hive. I really want to hit the ground running this year. Got a lot of, stuff in the works to offer, people here coming up. And then Materia, we're super excited now to be working with a lot of other builders in our area, designers in our area, and, taking the company a little bit outside the Boston market. Like I said, we've already started working in New York City, and we're getting inquiries daily from all different towns throughout the country. I mean, we're starting to ship stuff, to the West Coast. So just really looking forward to building both of these companies much more this year.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Cool.
I think there should be a Jason Bent Sucks discount code for a Hive book.
Yeah, I think so.
Were they pay an extra 10% or something, you think? Or what?
Upcharge code.
That was good.
I'm going to pioneer the upcharge code.
Yeah.
I like
You guys
that.
want to pay $10
I don't think
more
the
for a Hive
algorithm
notebook.
works that way, but
Too cool.
All right.
Ken,
Well,
thank
you
you.
get a special sticker that way. We'll make Jason Bent Sucks stickers. That's fine.
Oh man, I'm just gonna
Ben,
write that
stop,
down.
because I know that these two a-holes will do that now.
Yeah, man. Do you
Send
want
them out
that
to-
with a hand plane, a saw blade, or a tree?
I'm going to see
So
it
let's
end
do
up
one
in
of
everybody's
each.
Instagram posts. Just Jason Bent
We'll do-
stickers suck in the background of everything.
We'll do packs. We'll sell them in packs.
yeah.
You know
It'll be
that'll go
Jason
viral.
Bent Sucks and then like smeared shit in the background.
Yeah.
Oh my god. You know that'll go viral, right? Any of that?
Oh,
Coming
absolutely.
to a bathroom stall near you.
Right next to the call Ben for a good time.
Oh my god.
I thought it was Hans for a good time, but
Hans, call Hans.
Hans for a good time.
Straight to the voicemails.
Yeah.
Oh my god. You do that too good.
Yeah.
yeah.
You do that too good.
Well,
Right.
Ken, yeah,
Go ahead,
thank you
Jason.
so much.
Dude,
thank you so much
thank
for
you,
coming on.
thank you.
I really appreciate it, guys. This was a good time.
Oh, for sure.
Hopefully I'm around in a couple weeks and we can all do this again
Yep.
in person.
Yeah, I really
Absolutely.
hope so. So
Absolutely.
Cool.
I did want to, I think Ben was probably going to do this, but where can people find you?
Mm-hmm.
Me, you can find me on Instagram at Ken Decost. Simple.
That's it.
Easy peasy.
That's it.
You've heard it,
We got
everybody.
YouTube series. It's called Revealed. You
Revealed.
can find that.
Very good.
It's currently on the NS Builders YouTube channel. Yeah, other than that, I'm not on a whole lot of other social stuff.
Too
Yeah, 'cause
damn
you're-
busy.
Yeah, you're kind of busy.
And
I mean,
and at Hive Book.
Yes.
Yeah,
At
at Hive
underscore-
_
yeah,
notebook. Yeah.
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 Ben now gets
Yeah, man.
25% of all your revenue.
He does. Actually, he's now going to get a 25% upcharge.
I've
Yeah.
got a Bitly. I've got a
Sorry,
Bitly link.
sorry,
that-
buddy.
that's
Sorry,
good.
buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Sedge,
Thanks again, guys. Appreciate it.
where can
You
everybody
betcha.
find you?
Sedgetool.com, Sedgetool on all the platforms, IG, TikTok, where else? YouTube, please. Grinder, Tinder, Pinterest, but also at Festool Sedge,
OnlyFans.
Festool Shop Talk, and Festool Live.
And Feet Finder.
And yes.
Jason,
That's my favorite. BensWoodworking.com. Ben,
MarshallDesignWorks.com and Ben Marshall Designs on Instagram and YouTube.
RainbowUnicornWriters.com.
and Ben Marshall on Pornhub.
That's right.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
Actually, it's Hans's Panzerbrat on
Hans's Panzerbrats. Yeah.
Oh, you guys say right.
Just explosions in your mouth. You know.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to another episode of the
Thank you for tuning in. We just got off of Spotify.
All right, thanks everybody. See you in the next episode.
Thanks.